Alright, we've just started Video Messaging Unlimited, and now what we're going to do is drag it over to the second monitor output. There's a couple of ways we could do this. One way is a manual and tedious way where we could drag it over there and then try to resize this onto the second monitor precisely. But there's a much easier way that I'll show you. Before I do that, let me call something to your attention. It should be kind of obvious. Video Messaging Unlimited actually has no menus or buttons that are visible. And the reason is because this screen here, this window, will become what your patrons see. So all of the features and functions through IMU are accessed through a context menu. That happens when you click the right mouse button. When you click the right mouse button, you'll notice this menu comes up here. One of the things we want to do is position this on monitor 2. So I come over here into Window and I'll say Set to Full Size on Monitor 2. When I click that, magically, it goes off of this, the primary monitor, and onto the secondary monitor. It's already set to full size, and that's pretty much what you want to do. So there's one more way in which you can access VMU features, and that's down here. One of the things you'll notice is in your system tray icon, there's a little icon down here. When you click on it with the left or right mouse button, that same menu with all the features for VMU are right here. So for example, if the VMU window was back on this screen over here, and I wanted to move it over, I could right click and then say set to full size, where I can click here and do the same thing. Window, set to full size on monitor 2, and there we go. So we've started VMU, we moved it to the secondary monitor, and that's where it's going to live from now on. In fact, having done that, VMU and IMU all automatically remember the screen positions and sizes. So if you turn off your computer and restart it, VMU is going to remember that it needs to be over on the secondary monitor and be full size, and IMU is going to remember whatever size and position that you had it set to over here. So that's pretty handy. Alright, so let me show you a few things about VMU, and then we'll go ahead and we'll take this message that I sent, this test message, and send it over to the VMU screen. So probably you'll need to kind of... Okay, VMU is based on a concept of panels. You notice up here, if you take a very close look, it says Panel 1, Static Text. This next panel down here says Panel 2, Messages. Panel down here says Panel 3, Scrolling Text. Each one of these is a panel. It's a rectangular window. And what I could do is, you notice when I click on a panel, what happens is these little blue blocks come up around the panel. And they allow us to grab this and resize it. And what I could do is position this panel anywhere on the screen. So panels can be resized and positioned anywhere on the screen. And the panels can become any kind of function. When you start VMU, you get 3 panels by default: static text, scrolling text, and the message panel. But VMU actually has a number of panels. And to get to those panels, we can right-click. We say Settings, say Designer. This window comes up here, comes up on the primary monitor, but this controls the different aspects of panels and allows you to add more panels. If I wanted to add another panel, let's say I want to add a panel to video playback. So just click this little plus button here, and it adds a panel. I could position it anywhere on the screen. Let's say I'll put this message panel here, and I'll put this panel up here. We make this become a video player panel. The actual panel functions are accessed through this little down pointing arrow here. When I add this panel, a static text panel is added by default, but if I click this down pointing arrow, here's all the different types of features that we can have, the different kind of panels. I'm going to say media player panel. And within the designer window, we can access different kind of properties of a panel. Okay, so we've just added a media player panel over here. We'll come over here and select that media player panel, come over here and select the type of media file that I want to use. In this case, I'll choose this Avril Lavigne Skater Boy, and there it is. Now, Video Messaging Unlimited operates in two modes, a design mode and a play mode. Up until now, we've been operating in design mode. And in design mode, that's where you can move panels around on the screen, control their color, layout, what have you. Now we'll go ahead and go into play mode. What we see is the Avril Lavigne video starts playing. Message panel is just sitting here, waiting for messages. The scrolling text panel has some scrolling text down there, and the static text panel has a static message. In fact, now these are all default parameters. Tells us how to adjust the layout, send SMS to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so forth. We'll go ahead and customize this for our particular use. We'll come up here and select the static text panel. And in the static text panel, there we go. Here are the options. We come over here and here's the text that's going to be showing in that static text panel. So I will go ahead and change that message. This is the message that will appear up there, as you can see. Normally for a club or a SMS chatting application of any kind, whether it's a concert, club, what have you, the message up there in the static text panel is very simple. And it goes something like this. To see your message, send SMS to, in my case, 407 92088. And we could put some our own message down here in the scrolling text panel as well. Here are some scrolling text that we supply. Welcome to Video Messaging Unlimited. Obviously, that's not what you want to put up there. So to change that, what we'll see is we'll say Edit, and just click in there. You can change the color if you want. We'll make it blue. And we'll go ahead and enter our own message to scroll. Welcome to Club Tech. Be sure to tip your waitress. All right. And on this one here, I'll just delete it. So we only have one scrolling text message. Go back here into play mode. And so you can see sort of how you accomplish things here. Just select the panel, change the properties of those panels. You can change the color of the panel, the color of the text, the font size, the font style. Everything about VMU can be customized. What we have here is our media player panel playing our Avril Lavigne video. And we have the message panel just sitting here. And remember, earlier, we came over here, sent a text message, said this is a test. If I press this button over here, the blue button looks like a computer monitor, it will send that text message right to the message panel. If I have another message comes in, it will come right into our inbox. I can send that right to the text message panel too. Earlier today I mentioned this button right here. If you click on this button, this allows you, the moderator, to send your own message to the text panel. Hi there, thanks for coming, happy birthday, Charlie. And, oh yeah, don't forget to tip your waitress. So you can see how you can send your own messages to the system and how messages come in and can be displayed immediately just by pressing that button. Okay, so we've seen how to receive a text message, how to send it to the display using this button here. Let's do that one more time, actually. I'll compose myself a text message. And this is our second test. And off it goes. And there it is. Click this button to send it to the display. If we want to, we can block the text message by clicking this button right here, or we can delete the message. Of course, we can reply, as we've already seen. What I'm showing you up until this point has been a manual mode. When you install IMU, by default it's turned into a manual mode. Some people like to operate the system in an automatic mode. And they say, well, how do you do that? And here's how you do that. Come up here to the Settings menu, and then System Settings. And what you want to do is come over here into the Offensive Message Text Filter. And this tells IMU how you want to handle offensive messages. Let's say a message comes in, and in fact there's two parts of how IMU handles offensive messages. The first part is how you want to handle messages that don't appear to be offensive. And then the second part is how you want to handle messages that do appear to be offensive. How you handle text messages that are not offensive, by default, you see here it says place into inbox. What we could do is if we wanted to automatically forward messages directly to the screen up there, we say place in the display queue. That means there's a display queue, meaning there's kind of like a line where all the messages go and the next message goes out as the next one comes in and so forth. That's what that place in display queue means. So if you want to operate in an automatic mode, come over here, offensive text message filter, place in display queue, and now messages that come in that don't appear to be offensive will just automatically be forwarded right to the screen. Now, what about messages that do appear to be offensive? Well, what happens is, the very first thing that will usually happen is that the words in those messages will be censored using these characters. You can type question marks if you want, stars, what have you. By default, we use 3 asterisks. And then what happens to the display, to those messages that appear to be offensive? Are they left in the inbox? Are they placed in the display queue, even though they appear to be offensive? They'll automatically be censored. Or are they placed in the blocked folder? That is, let's say a message comes in that says, "Hi, Mom." Of course, that's not offensive. And this configuration will go automatically onto the screen. Let's say somebody comes in, sends another message that says, "Hi, Mom, you jerk." Maybe that seems offensive. In this configuration, what will happen is that message will just automatically go into the blocked folder. It will not go to the screen. If I choose this button right here, what will happen is "you jerk" will be replaced by this 3 stars, and what we'll see on the screen is "Hi, Mom, star, star, star" type deal. So this is how you can automatically run IMU in an automated mode. Let me talk a little bit more about this blocked folder too, because there's a couple of aspects to IMU's offensive message filter and system. One of these tabs up here you see in the system settings is the offensive message filter. That's what we've been configuring right now. But how does IMU figure out what is offensive and what is not offensive? Well, we have this list of offensive words. What comes with IMU is standard offensive words that we all know and we all pretty much have heard sooner or later. And you can always add your own offensive words to this just by clicking Add and just type in any kind of word. What's interesting here is what's offensive and what's not. One of the things that I've heard was that we had a situation where our system was used at a high school where there were some gangs and there was some sort of a gang rivalry. And just the mentioning of this special code, which isn't really an offensive code, maybe it's something like C8. You know, like if you mention C8, that's some sort of a special code that emboldens one gang and tends to put down another gang. So what you could do is you could put C8 in here, and then anybody that sends C8 into their messages will automatically be considered an offensive message, and it will be either you know, asterisked out or placed into the blocked folder. One thing about IMU is it's very smart in how it looks for offensive words. You'll notice that the first few words here have an asterisk in front of them. When you put in a word that has an asterisk in front of it, IMU will automatically look for sort of flavors of that word. Like, for example, let's say this top one here, B-I-T-C-H. Well, somebody might try to fake IMU out and put like B space I space T space C space H, something like that, or B hyphen I dash T backslash, you know, different things like that, trying to kind of fake the system out. IMU, when you put that asterisk in front of that, IMU will automatically sniff for variations on that word, and even you know, different ways of misspelling it. You know, a 1 for an I and a O for a letter 0 and so forth. So it's pretty smart in how it does that. So that's the list of offensive words here. There's a couple ways you can add offensive words. One is by clicking the Add button here in the System Settings dialog box. Another way is to click on this button down here in the main IMU window. If it suddenly occurs to you, oh yeah, I think I need to add a word to the offensive words list, you can just push this little grr face guy here, and it'll pop up a little button, looks just like that, where you can add an offensive word. So that's one message, one aspect of the offensive message filter. Another aspect is warnings. One of the things that you can do is if somebody sends an offensive text message, IMU can automatically actually ban them if they've received so many offensive messages, you know, pretty much actually in their lifetime. So in this case, if IMU's received 5 offensive messages, it will ban this user. And there's a couple of options for this banning. You can ban a user forever after receiving so many text messages, or you can ban a user for some period of time, you know, a couple of hours, a couple of days, and so forth. When you enable this banning, what can happen is IMU, in addition to banning them, it can send back a text message saying you have been banned from the system for, you know, 5 days and 0 hours and 0 minutes. And the system can actually automatically unban them after that time, and they'll get another message that says you've been unbanned from the system. You know, you are now able to send messages again. All of these messages that come are completely customizable by you. Like now, the automatic unbanning text is you are now able to send text messages. One of the things is outside the United States, there are no such things as unlimited text messaging plans, as far as I know. It's free to receive a text message, but when you send out a text message, there's a cost associated with that, whether it's 2 cents or something like that. So a lot of our users, they configure the system so it automatically bans people, but it doesn't send out any text message. So if you want to configure the system so it doesn't send out any kind of warning messages, all you do is clear this text field. So now automatically the system may ban them, but it just won't send out a text message to them. You can also warn the user. Like in this case, we check this checkbox up here and say, warn user after receiving 1 message with offensive words. And this will automatically send a warning message to the person. The default warning message is, if you keep sending messages with offensive content, you will be banned from the system. And just like everything else in IMU, this message is completely customizable. You can make this say anything you want. So that's kind of how the system works. So basically, one area that you'll probably want to be explore a little bit is the menu up here called System Settings. This is how you control the offensive message filter in terms of the automatic mode or manual mode. This is where you enter your list of offensive words, check things out. This is how you set up warnings that the user may or may not automatically receive. So there's a lot of options in this system settings area which you might want to take a look at when you have a chance. So with that, let me go ahead and, just for illustration purposes, turn on automatic mode and send a couple of text messages just to illustrate exactly how that works. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, messages that don't appear to contain offensive words, I'm going to say place in display queue. And even messages that do appear to contain offensive words, I'll go ahead and place those in the display queue too. Of course, with this checkbox up here checked, it'll automatically censor those words before they actually make it to the screen. I'll click OK. I still have, this is our second test, so I'll go ahead and send that to the display. Okay, so I've just configured the system for automatic mode. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and compose an SMS that's non-offensive. Hi there, John. How are you doing? And since we have the system in an automatic mode now, this is a text message will automatically go right into the will come through the system, won't even stop at the inbox, and it's going to go right into the screen, just like that. Hi there, John, how are you doing? So now, let me compose a text message that's not so clean. Let's say I've had a few drinks. I'll say, hi, John, and I'm not even going to spell his name correctly now, because I'm half lit. And you old ass. So I just sent the text message to the screen. And once again, I'm in an automatic mode. It's not going to stop at the inbox. We're going to go right through the system and automatically screen that message. So what you see is that it says, hi, John, you old ass now, but nobody can see the ass because it's blocked out. Another thing that IMU has is a number filter. And I'll tell you what, there is so many little details in IMU, so many little things that we've learned over the years, ways that people will try to kind of trick the system or use it to their advantage. Like, for example, let's say I compose an SMS message and I say, now I'm really drunk. And I say, hi, John, for a good time, meet me in hotel room 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm giving out my hotel room. What will happen is IMU has a number filter that's enabled by default. And it will defend against people giving out their own phone numbers and people giving out their hotel room numbers. So what you see up there is that the actual number has been replaced by 3 number signs. And of course all of this is configurable. You can turn on a number filter, turn it off, adjust how it reacts and so forth. But this is all very tricky stuff that only comes through experience. So anyway, you can see how you enable IMU for a automatic mode, how you enable it for a manual mode, how you customize the offensive words that are in the filter and control various aspects of that filter. And we've shown you how to automatically send messages to the screen when it's in manual mode, how to send a message to the screen yourself as the moderator. Like I could see what's going on here as a moderator. I could say, Be careful, folks. Don't give out your hotel room numbers. So as the moderator, maybe I can display that sort of thing. We've seen how to reply back to people. And this reply feature is actually very handy because let's say you're a mobile DJ. One of the reasons why people send you a text message is not only to see them on the screen, but also to send a message to the DJ. Hey DJ, play some salsa. Hey DJ, you got any Pink Floyd? That sort of thing. You know, play some Avril Lavigne. And what you could do is you could reply to them. And you could say, well, exactly what band did you have in mind? Or, you know, somebody would say, you know, play this particular type of music, and you don't really understand what it is that they're saying. What you could do is you could reply back to them and say, you know, could you please rephrase that? Or I don't have that piece of music. Suggest something else or something like that. And that really makes it interactive. That's really the interactive component of Interactive Messaging Unlimited, is you're interacting with the crowd, not only with the screen, but also kind of on a one-on-one basis. When we've used this in trade shows and Q&A sessions, one of the things that we've done is people send in a message that we would put up on the screen for the panelists to see and then respond to. Sometimes a lot of people start asking the same question. We'll be able to just put the one question there and we'll reply to the other people. Thank you for your question. You know, somebody else has already asked. Please be sure to ask your question again if we misunderstood you, something like that. So this replying aspect is actually a very powerful aspect of IMU.